Welcome back to Chris's Habs Corner. The Habs finally avoid a shutout tonight and actually score a goal, and they beat the Capitals 6-2 at the Bell Center in a very spirited effort tonight. We'll be going over this game reaction in today's episode. All right, let's get right into it. So, Habs come out and pull off a 6-2 win against Washington tonight. Two shorthanded goals in the game. Armia scores a hat trick in this game. Mike Hoffman scores. Matheson has 3 assists in the game. And overall, we played our style of game tonight. We played off the transition with speed, going through the neutral zone very well, caused a lot of turnovers. We dictated the pace of the game to our favor and in our advantage, I think, for most of the game tonight. Obviously, Washington, having been eliminated from playoff contention last week, they didn't really play with their best effort tonight. Passive on a lot of throughout large portions of this game, I thought. Not as aggressive or assertive. So we took advantage of a lot of that. I thought there were a lot more direct offensive plays through the breakout tonight. Saw a lot more plays just going direct up ice and able to have good zone entries off of it. Last couple games we saw the Habs really passing up on good high caliber plays through the neutral zone and just kind of not having connectivity to create any type of flow or offense to the game. And tonight you saw a lot of more direct, assertive plays up ice with speed. I thought our defense, our decision-making under pressure in our own end was a lot better than the last game against Detroit. Overall, in general, we saw pretty decent play options, with pressure in our face, good passing outlets, not deferring to our own defensive partner at times appropriate, and then, deferring to our defensive partner when the times were appropriate tonight. And I thought we drove plays to the net a lot more tonight. The last couple of games, we saw a lot of guys just passing up shot opportunities coming in on the rush or just in the offensive zone, just in general. And tonight, there were a lot more direct plays just thrown towards the net, not passing up opportunities, not overthinking things, more support along the boards in the offensive zone tonight in the cycle game, just having more options. Just everybody was a lot more intact and just aware. And just kind of thinking alike and following step by step of what each other's going to do in the offensive zone a lot more. We were more connected tonight, I thought, just a lot more connected in general. That's my thoughts on the overall play of the game tonight. So, that was pretty sweet to see Nick Suzuki goal and assist tonight, career high in points now. Off of that bank pass off the boards from, I believe it was Joel Edmondson, to get that breakaway to go in. And it was just a classic Nick Suzuki move. Nice forehand backhand move, slide it past Washington's goaltender there. Finally, that was the goal that ended the 2-game goalless drought. It's funny, Harvey Pinard comes back in the lineup tonight, and he was actually the last player to score for the Habs before missing basically an entire week because of an injury, and he was the last player to score. So, coming back in the lineup tonight, and we put up 6. That's pretty sweet. And that speaks volumes of the energy and just the mojo he brings to the lineup every night now for us. He's really becoming, having him miss these games and looking how flat the Habs have looked, and him coming back in the lineup really shows what a spark plug he is to this team. Ever since his call-up in January, he looked amazing tonight. He was all over the offensive zone. He was really the glue in the offensive zone a lot of times on that first line with Suzuki and Armia. I think not only does he win board battles by his leveraging and his positioning and his quick little shifty moves along the boards, but he also knows how to create space for other players off of that and dictate the play when he has the puck along the boards like that. I think Suzuki really reads that well and knows kind of is able to predict what Harvey Pinard's going to do in those board battles along the boards, and where he's going to free up the puck and what areas he can go to, which is nice. They complement each other's game in that way, because Harvey Pinard's not just a smashing northbound, hitting the wall type of player driving to the net. He also has some creativity and some vision to his game, so that's just awesome. You could really see we were firing on all cylinders tonight on that line, mainly because of RHP. He believe it was on a penalty kill. He came in and rang one off the post, one-on-one with Washington's defense. Made a couple nice moves, went back to the forehand, took a nice, beautiful shot that went, I think it might have hit double post, bing, bing. Not exactly sure, but that came close. So, he's definitely here to stay. That's all I have to say about that. We saw Pizzetta get into a fight with Wilson after a big hit in the corner. I was actually up using the bathroom at that moment. I didn't see the player entirely. I know it was somewhat of a big hit. And then Wilson used that as an excuse to get some type of spark going and engage in a fight. Obviously, Wilson being a much bigger frame and body than Pizzetta. But, Pizzetta wasn't going to back down from that fight. Obviously, fighting Ryan Reeves last year in New York, he has a name for himself of not backing down, and he always shows up in those moments. Good for him to show up and stick with it in that fight, even though he ended up losing it. It just speaks tremendous amounts about his character, and just he shows up every game in that style. He plays that style, and he owns that style. He knows the price that comes along with that heavy, hard hitting. Every time he goes in the corner, a big hit's coming from him. He knows he's going to have to show up and ring the bell and play fisticuffs every now and again with players that are much bigger than him, and he always does. He's up. He's up for contract at the end of the season, and that is one player. I keep telling a lot of people, don't underestimate the presence and the value he brings with that style of game. It is tremendous for us in a lot of ways. He is a player we definitely should bring back next year. Really focus a lot to try to re-sign him. Yep, Matheson, with 3 assists tonight. He just looked again like he has been for the past couple of months. Really just, again, I know to reiterate the point, but he's really just creating space out there, driving plays through the neutral zone, and just being able to get that edge and find the open space for himself and open space for other players, carrying the puck through the offensive zone. And I noticed in his defensive game, when he does go down and lead the rush or drive the play through the offensive zone, he's able to get back quickly on transition defense and cover large amounts of gaps on an odd man rush coming the other way and make up ground. So that's got to be comforting for his defensive partner, knowing that Matheson has that ability to do that. I think Kovacevic was his partner tonight, and Kovacevic had a really standout game. He really is kind of an unsung hero throughout the year, but especially tonight, he really had his legs underneath him. He was distributing the puck well. He was moving up ice on transition offense, joining the rush. He was driving plays in the in the offensive zone a couple times there, looking like a forward out there. And I just have to wonder, having a partner like Matheson, has that fluid skating ability, not only on offense, but to come back on defense. You kind of have to feel comfortable knowing that you can maybe have more of an offensive upside to your game, even being a stay-at-home defenseman, and be a little more lenient to take chances and join the rush and drive an offensive play like Kovacevic did tonight, because if I'm not mistaken, he was partnered with Matheson tonight. And you just saw him drive a couple plays and look more confident doing so, because that Matheson's right back there as your defensive partner as well. So, I think that they complemented each other's games really well tonight. I like that pairing of Kovacevic and Matheson. The more I think of what a steal, grabbing Kovacevic off waivers at the beginning of the season. He's not the most offensive guy. He's more of a stay-at-home, stable presence. But he always makes the right, responsible decision. He always makes the good pass out of the zone, usually the most appropriate one. He has a hard shot that can get through traffic. like we saw tonight, he knows how to join the rush and join in on the activate in the offensive zone here and there. Can hold the blue line, walk the blue line pretty well, keep plays in, and he just has decent hockey IQ in the defensive zone and has good sense of structural defense and positioning. He can separate plays along. He's just an overall stable defenseman that I'm glad we have on this team. Yeah, we saw Armia with his hat trick tonight, man. Just good for him with the season, the struggles he's had, how many times he's been out of the lineup. Had that first one right off the face-off, and Washington blew some coverage and left him wide open in the low slot there, and he just had about 1 or 2 seconds to release that absolutely wired precision top corner shot right in the back of the net that put the Habs up 2-1 on the penalty kill. Second penalty kill goal of the game. I think the broadcasting station announced that was the first time the Habs scored 2 shorthanded goals in a game since 2021 in a road game against Vancouver. So that was pretty sweet. 2 shorthanded goals in this game. You could really see that the crowd was really into it at that point. That was awesome. Armia's second goal of the game. There's a 5-on-5 play right off the face-off. Matheson took the puck and made just the subtlest, tiniest little shifty pump fake with his shoulder, make it look like he was passing it back up to the point, and wired that cross-ice feed to Armia with a beautiful one-time release right in the top corner. And Washington's goaltender was right there to make the save, Darcy Kemper. He was in position, but that puck was just so targeted and so on point that even if you could be in the most perfect position and have the best angle, that puck was just labeled deadly accurate. And that's the type of player Armia can be. He has had issues with his consistency. Half the time he looks like he belongs in a middle school floor hockey team, and then other nights he looks like Brett Hall or Wayne Gretzky out there. I mean, he's just inconsistent. If he was as consistent as he was tonight, he could be easily a 15, 20 goal scorer, putting up 40 points in a season. His positives, he really drives plays along the boards. He's strong on the puck. He knows how to protect the puck, draw players into him to create space for others. But also, he has those nifty, tight area little plays. He can handle the puck really well and just pull the puck around people like a slippery, shifty player. It's sneaky the way he can do that sometimes, and it kind of catches you off guard. And then when he has that time and space, that release he has is insane. But you don't always see that from him. Half the time, like I said, he just seems to be in la-la land. Just lost out there, not in position half the time, not really having the best awareness or senses on the ice, not totally engaged in the play a lot of times. So, it's a little frustrating. You can see flashes of how great he can be like tonight, and then you can see flashes of how not so great he can be. But, good for him to get the hat trick. He ended up getting the hat trick off that empty net goal there at the end of the game. When it was 4-2, he took the initial shot coming down in the offensive zone. It was blocked by the Washington defenseman. Batted the puck back down and just rifled it right in the back of the net. Get the hattie. Good for him. It's his first in 3 or 4 years. I think it was a game against the Rangers, something along those lines. So, I mean, that was pretty good. Talk a little bit about the penalty kill and the power play tonight. Other than those 2 shorthanded goals, it's pretty obvious. Everybody was talking about it on the radio broadcasting station and the TV stations. Covering Ovechkin did a little bit of a different style of penalty killing tonight. Basically drove Ovechkin out of the play on every single power play. You saw Mike Matheson just get right up in his face and just take away his time and space completely and just stay on Ovechkin the entire penalty kill and just basically allow the other 4 Washington players to just run the power play without him, and it was effective. And not only that, but it allowed the Habs penalty killers to be a little bit more aggressive. We saw them come out more towards the blue line. We saw them kind of smother more plays along the boards, and allowed to a lot of clears. And it also allowed for, we had a lot of odd man rushes on the penalty kill tonight. Just be more assertive and just carrying the puck up ice with Harvey Pinard and Suzuki on the penalty kill there. That was really effective. The vision and the creativity that they had together on the penalty kill. Then we saw in the second penalty kill that we had there, I believe it was still in the second period, Washington tried to shift Ovechkin up a little higher in the play, and Matheson was kind of having none of that, stayed right on him again, and it was effective again, the same story. We just kind of dominated the penalty kills tonight, which was pretty nice to see. Taking that one player who's probably going to pass Wayne Gretzky all time for goal scorers in the NHL, taking him out of the equation, what that can do for the rest of the penalty kill. Totally different dynamic after that point. The power play, it looked decent tonight. First, you could see Washington, they were pretty passive on the penalty kill. Didn't look like they were totally engaged, or quite honestly didn't really care all that much on the penalty kill for them. They were kind of more hemmed in towards the house, not really coming out and pressuring any of the Habs players a whole heck of a lot at times when we had a power play. Zone entries were decent. I thought we were whipping the puck around the umbrella pretty good. Thought we took shots when we needed to take shots. We weren't just passing, playing catch, hot potato back and forth. So it was a little less predictable tonight. So it was pretty decent. I thought Gallagher was a pretty good net front presence on the power play tonight. He had a couple really good looks. Yeah, that's really all I have in that. Speaking of Gallagher, that was a nice goal he had there in the second period, with that little sneaky backhand dish from Duran behind the net. Good for him. I think that's his 8th or 9th on the year now. Again, he's just on a pretty decent scoring pace since coming back from his injury. Just good for him to get his confidence up, and coming back from a rough season for him, to see him just consistently score like this. It shows us that he still has some game in him, still has some life in him, which is good. Well, that's really all I have about the game tonight, guys. Again, Harris was out. Savard and Belzil's season's over. Kirby Dach's still out. We don't even know if he's going to be back next game or the game after. I think there's 3 games left. At this point, if Dach's not ready to go for the last 3 games, why even play him? There's really nothing left to play for if you're partially injured, So Schoenemann and Weidman were both in the lineup tonight, and Harris and Savard's absences. Tierney was in tonight. As far as Schoenemann goes, he looked okay. You could tell he isn't exactly completely ready to be at the NHL level. Corey Schoenemann, a couple times he had trouble boxing out his player, and his player defensively drove to the inside and gained some positioning on him. But you could also see his strengths a little bit, where there were times where Corey Schoenemann was lost inside positioning on a player driving around the net, but then he was able to gain his inside positioning again and smother the play. So overall, he didn't totally stand out in a bad way, but you could tell he's just a tad step below the NHL level still. Let's see the shots on net total tonight. We had 32, Washington at 26. And, biggest storyline tonight was Armia's hat trick, obviously. Nick Suzuki with a goal and an assist. Gallagher getting one. And Mike Hoffman, too. Mike Hoffman, pretty much when the game was sealed 5-2 with about 15, 20 seconds left, kind of just took the puck along the boards and just threw one towards the net and went in past Kemper. I think it was glove side high. I don't even think he was really expecting that to hit the net, to be honest. You could tell he kind of just went through the motions of wristing that puck in, so that was kind of cool. Probably Mike Hoffman's last few games here with the Habs in general. We're probably not going to see him next year, so good for him. he's been playing really good hockey ever since that incident happened in Boston, and I think he's just fired up, to play these last few games at a pretty high pace, and just stay spirited. He's not one of the ones I can tell that are completely mailing it in here in these last few games, which is good to know. It's good to know that you have some care level. This was a tale of two teams that are not in the playoffs, and to me, one of the biggest storylines tonight was which team had the willpower to care more and to not think about golfing and tea times and summertime parties, and which team just wanted to actually show up and play hockey more, even though both teams are going absolutely nowhere. And the Habs had just more willpower to actually show up and want to play, and I think that was a major part of tonight and why we had so much success. Yeah, Montembeault looked solid in net tonight. He didn't really have to face too many high slot scoring chances. He made some timely saves when he needed to. He was pretty aggressive, cutting off the angles on a lot of shots. He looked efficient with his movements again. Just another solid, stable performance from him. You can't really say too much because he didn't really have that many scoring threat opportunities. He made a couple pretty big saves, timely saves, I thought. So that was good. That's really all I got. Habs have a game on the road in Toronto Saturday night. Then they wrap the season up against New York and Boston next week. I think we jumped up to 6th in the standings. We just passed Arizona. So it is what it is. Like I had said last week, we really expect us to finish 5th to 7th. You can't really get too upset if we don't end up with that top 5 pick. It is what it is at this point. We are guaranteed, though, we're going to finish at least 7th to last place. That's really all I got for this episode, guys. I'll talk to you guys next time.